every time your outer loop runs, every time a slice of that execution happens, you are going to do the entirety of your inner loop. Now, I know it's kind of hard to understand without visualizing it, so I made this slide to basically step through the process of executing a nested for loop. So let's actually get started here. So we have this outer loop, which has a variable I, and this I is going to be initialized to 0. So we initialize I to 0, then we're going to begin this loop, and it's going to immediately begin the inner loop, which is going to be for j loop. So it's going to have a variable j is going to be initialized to 0. Then we are going to print out j, which is going to be 0 the first time we run through this. Then it's going to increment j by 1, because in this for loop at the end, we see j is going to be incremented by 1 at the end. I hope that you understand how for loops work, so I'm not really going to explain that process. So then we go back up and we are going to do the comparison between j and 2. So if j is less than 2, it's fine because j is equal to 1. We are going to print j, then we're going to increment j by 1 again. Then we are going to go back up here. We're going to check, is j less than 2? Obviously j is equal to 2 now, so it's not less than 2. So we are going to go to the end of our outer loop. When we do that, we are increasing I by 1. Then we go back up to our outer loop and we are going to check, is I less than 2? Because it is, we are going to step back into our execution and we are going to execute the inner loop, and this time we're going to initialize j to 0 again. Because we initialized the j to 0, the first time we run through this, it's going to be equal to 0. Then we increment j by 1, and then we check if j is less than 2 again, and then we print j, then we increment j by 1, then we go back up and we check, is j less than 2? Well, j is not less than 2, j is equal to 2, and because of that, we are going to go to the end of our outer loop, and we are going to increment I by 1. Now is I less than 2? No, I is equal to 2 now, and because of that, both loops have finished. Once both loops have finished, that is the end of our nested loop.